order to get to the desired elevation and grade. A simple string line or a 4-foot level should give you enough reference to get the basic grade. If you have a laser level or transit, use it to check the graded area as well. This final layer of gravel base will need to be compacted. Because the additional layer is only 3 inches thick, a vibratory plate compactor will do. You will need to wet the surface down to reduce dust and to achieve maximum compaction. Make sure you only mist down the surface. Do not soak the area. Once the area has been compacted, we can now install the last 2 Unilock elements, which will finally enclose the patio area. When installing a backyard retreat with Unilock elements, it's important to plan the order of installation. That's why we chose to install the grill and bar island last, so that we could use the loader as much as possible for everything. Make sure that these elements are parallel and square to the rest of the installation, so that there will be no angular paver cuts. It's also important to note that planning all your elements with consideration given to the paver sizes will minimize or possibly eliminate the need to cut any pavers. We suggest that when elements are being placed, and if you have 1 or 2 extra men available at that time, have them install the chimney flue or other hardware on the various element pieces, such as the grill or water feature. The flue is easy to install and requires no tools. The pipe simply snaps into place. At the end of day 2, all our elements are installed and our main base preparation for the pavers is complete. Double check to make sure that the base is sloped correctly and that there are no dips or bumps greater than a ½ inch. Screeding the bedding sand over the base is the next crucial step in paver installation. The purpose of the bedding sand is to seat the pavers and to allow a buffer for final compaction. This final compaction will make the surface of your installation very smooth. Screeding is accomplished with a couple of very basic tools. We recommend that you use a 3/4 inch diameter metal pipe as the screed guide and a straight 2x4 as the screed board. Check the straightness of the board by looking down the edge to see if there are any irregularities. The pipes must lay directly on the gravel base. Therefore, it's very important to establish your base heights early on to avoid extra work. The height of the pipe should be at an elevation that would put the paver approximately 3/8 of an inch higher than the required final height. This will allow for the compaction of the pavers. The bedding sand must be a clean, coarse concrete sand. A great way to load wheelbarrows is by using your loader. Place the sand between the screed guides and rake out the sand to conform to the general grade. Using the straight 2x4 board, screed the sand down the rails. You'll immediately see how smooth this surface becomes. As you can see, the process is very similar to screeding concrete, as we did earlier. Once one area has been screeded, you can slide the pipes down further to complete the next section. As you move the rails along, or when completely removing the pipe, you will be left with a small groove in the sand which will need to be filled. Simply take a shovelful of sand and spread it into the groove. With a small hand trowel, you can smooth the sand to the screeded surface. This process is repeated until the entire area is complete. Avoid walking on the screeded surface. In any areas where you may have added extra sand, you should hand tamp the sand in those spots and then re-screed. The next step is laying the pavers. This may seem like a large part of the work, but actually it moves along quite quickly, especially if it is well planned. Place your paver material as close as possible to the installation so that extra handling can be avoided. Remove all banding and wrapping and dispose of in recycling bins. In this project, the contractor is installing Umbriano, copthorn, and a small accent of Brussels block. The copthorn will match the copthorn used as accents in the elements. Referring back to the plan often will ensure that you start at the right location and stay on course with the pattern and the design. The Umbriano paver is comprised of several sizes that can be laid in a specific pattern or in a random pattern. Because it is the larger component and the larger portion of the job, it is laid first. Another good reason to start with the Umbriano is that it's the thickest and largest component of the 3 stone styles used. Once it is laid, it will be easier to lay the copthorn in between, which is 3/8 of an inch thinner. You'll notice that the Umbriano has a 0 bevel edge. These sharp edges are designed to give you a very contemporary and sophisticated look. Care must be taken not to bump these paver edges against each other, which will cause chipping. Likewise, when you are installing Umbriano pavers, make sure you slide the sides of the stone together before placing them on the bedding sand. Sliding a paver closer after it is on the sand does not work very well and will result in uneven gaps. As you are laying the stones, attention must be paid to the string lines so that the pavers remain straight. Always walk on the pavers that you have laid and not on the sand. As you approach the pipe grooves that could not be accessed for filling earlier, you can now fill and trowel them smooth. Staging pavers for the person laying the stones is important. Putting the Umbriano on edge makes sorting and grabbing much easier and prevents the face of the stone from getting scuffed. Care must be taken not to knock them over. Minor adjustments in alignment can be made with the paver alignment tool. Screwdrivers can also be used, but in some cases this is difficult. The paver alignment tool also has a blade on it that minimizes the risk of pinching the edges of the stone. Once the Umbriano has been completely laid in place, you may need